Smythe, Smythe and Smythe, good morning.
Smythe and Smythe?
There's Jonathan Smythe, yes, of Smythe, Smythe and Smythe, lawyers.
Right, Mr. Smythe, I'm very distressed.
You're very distressed, yes, I gather
I've
you
got a
are.
penalty notice from the Criminal Records Office, ACRO.
Good Lord, have you? So ACRO have demanded that you pay something, presumably. If they, what exactly have they asked you to pay?
Well, it says here, penalty notice for health protection, coronavirus restrictions, all tiers, England, regulations 2020. Well, I don't know about tiers, but I'm in tears over this.
I can imagine you would be in floods of tears over it, because it's a very aggressive and very threatening thing that you've received. Now, presumably, this is in response to something given to you by the police, who are the people who protect us all from ourselves. Is that correct?
Well, this is it. I think I must have. It says the circumstances regarding the issue of a fixed penalty notice are on the 9th of January at Bournemouth Town Centre at 15:32. I was found to be in contravention of a regulation, Mr. Smythe. I've been in contravention of a regulation, but
Contravention of a regulation. So presumably, this is on the thing from Dorset Police, which you actually sent me, thank you, before you called, which is a direction to leave. And as authorising officer name and park, it doesn't appear to have the name. It has Inspector 2488, authorising officer collar number. Is it a collar number? 2498. Incident number 119, is it 09? Incident number 11909. So is it or 08? It may be that they're living in a different time to you altogether. They probably are, because they seem to suggest September, whereas in fact you're calling me in February. Is that right?
yes.
Yes. And it was pre-planned dynamic, whatever that means. And I just have a look at the rest of it and see what else it says. Calls you Hines, Jonathan, gender M, date of birth it gives.
Does this say that I've been alarming and distressing and harassing people?
Does it? Yes, it's Section 35 of the Antisocial Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act 2014, a very significant act of Parliament by the wonderful people in Parliament who actually affect these things. So it says, when your presence in that locality was likely in all the circumstances to cause or contribute to members of the public in the locality being harassed, alarmed or distressed, or the occurrence of crime or disorder. Could you mind telling me what your plans were to harass, alarm or distress, and what crime you were planning at that particular time? Was there a crime in mind?
Just before I do, Mr. Smythe, I must say that because we're being watched in our homes at the moment,
Yes.
I'm actually wearing my visor just in case I'm seen to be making a phone call.
Oh, good Lord, that would be very, very frightening to the public, indeed, wearing that. Very frightening. Can I ask why you were wearing it? Because obviously it's a very frightening thing to appear to the public as an alien.
Well, because the thing is, you have to wear a visor now to make phone calls even from your own home in case you might spread that. Don't give the virus to somebody down the phone.
Yes, presumably down the phone is the concern, isn't it? So, but you weren't on the phone, were you? You were there in person, is that correct?
Well, I was there. I was taking a stroll and talking to people.
In a leisurely fashion?
Yes, I believe that talking to people could be deemed a contravention as well. So I'm very, very concerned. Are you aware, Mr. Smythe, of any new legislation about talking to people in the street?
Well, I'm aware that the Antisocial Behaviour, Crime and Policing Act can cover talking to people in a friendly way in the street. It can be very threatening. And of course, by virtue of the fact that you're breathing, you'd be breathing out millions and millions of viruses to people all over Bournemouth. Is that correct? So you were, in fact, you were standing in the street talking in a kind of casual and relaxed way, which is very threatening and dangerous to people, most people in the world today, very threatening. And you were breathing out vast amounts of viruses which are infecting the whole of Bournemouth. Is that correct?
Well, and also, yes.
Yeah.
I was spreading those spiky balls all over the place.
Yes, I imagine that you probably were.
Yes, we were all.
Yes.
We're all meeting up.
Yes.
Because we've got this sort of naive, crazy idea, Mr. Smythe, that we can challenge this legislation and we can,
Yes.
if you like, go back to what we knew before this science fiction
Yeah.
movie began, and we've got this deluded idea, Mr. Smythe. Maybe, hopefully you'll disagree with me, but I feel that they think we're deluded to think that we can go back to what we had.
Yes.
Before this
Madness.
film script started.
Yes. Okay. So can I just check when the police arrested you? They did presumably arrested you. They arrest you. They put their hand on your shoulder and say you are under arrest under Section 35 of the Antisocial Behaviour Crime and Policing Act 2014. Did they do that?
That's why they cautioned me.
They cautioned you.
If anyone was doing the harassing, I think it would have been them, Mr. Smythe. They were harassing me.
Were they?
Because apparently I'd been asked to go home.
Right.
And,
Yes.
I've never been told to go home by someone in the street before, Mr. Smythe.
Yes. I can imagine it was quite distressing to be told to go home in the street.
Yes, and about an hour later, I hadn't gone home, and I was seen again, still, in a leisurely manner.
Yes. So I imagine you want my advice about how to deal with this. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Smythe,
Well,
yes.
the options are for you to pay the fine, which has been sent to you by ACRO, but in fact, I can't see on the actual document given to you by the police any sign at all that there was going to be a fine. There was just a breach of this direction makes you liable to arrest under Section 24 PACE 1954. That would be arrested at PACE, and on summary conviction, imprisonment or a fine of not exceeding £2,500. Confiscation of property if applicable. And under Section 787, a person given direction to leave may also be given direction to surrender any, what's his word here, I can't read it, in the previous possession of control that the officer reasonably in behaviour has been issued like a failure to comply is an offence will carry a maximum penalty not excluding level 2 of the standard scale. So my understanding of this, Mr. Smythe, is that you weren't told that you were going to be fined. You were merely told you had to disperse. Is that correct?
This is exactly right.
And you did disperse.
Well, this is it.
Yes. And then you
I didn't disperse. No, I didn't.
you didn't.
I've never heard, I never knew that such a thing would be expected of me. I've never known this in all my life.
No.
What was I supposed to do,
Well, exactly.
We were out in
But the matter we're talking, the matter, because obviously legally it's a matter. The matter we're talking about is the connection between the police notice and the fine that you've been asked to pay by ACRO. Is that correct? Because you do waffle on a bit, Mr. Hines, you see.
Why do they suddenly want £200 from me?
Yes.
When they didn't want £200
Yes.
on the day?
Well, it seems to me that they asked you to disperse, and then when they got home to the office, you were caught up on a list of people who'd been there, and then ACRO decided to fine you. But I can't actually see any connection between the document that you were given by the police and the ACRO letter. So it appears to me that you have two choices, Mr. Hines. You can either choose to pay £200 and say, yes, I'm going to give you £200 out of the charity of my heart. Do you plan to do that? Do you have a charitable heart in that sense?
I'm very charitable, but I'm afraid even my charitable heart just cannot possibly go that far.
So you don't feel inclined to just hand them £200 as a gift?
No, I don't.
No, because I feel that, as a lawyer, I feel that the document that you received from the police does not say that you have been fined, but that you may be fined or have a penalty if you don't comply. You have complied, I believe. So therefore, you have the option of not paying and being taken to court. Are you aware of how frightening it is to be taken to court and how threatening and nasty it'll be to be in a place full of police with arms and also be clapped in irons and see an axe in the corner which could be used to chop off your head?
Everybody will be in visors as well, won't they?
Yeah, they'll all be in visors as well, standing up together. So it'll be a very frightening experience. But if, of course, you choose to stand against it and say, no, I'm not a charity, I don't choose to give you £200 as a gift because I can't see any connection between the police notice and ACRO's letter. Therefore, I am disputing it and I am going to challenge it. And I'm going to use...
Very acrimonious, wouldn't you say, Mr. Smythe?
Very acrimonious? Well, it could be acrimonious if you go to court. But of course, equally, the risk is if you go to court that you could find yourself, fined thousands and thousands of pounds because they may say, look, we understand that you said you have a very small income. We think your income's £1 million a year, and we're going to fine you based on £1 million a year.
I just had a brainwave, Mr. Smythe.
Have you?
I know why.
Yes.
They suddenly issued me with a £200 fine because allegedly, according to the mainstream media,
Oh, mainstream media. Yes.
some of the police officers, one or two of the police officers ended up with COVID-19.
Have they?
And of course, we, as peaceful protesters, were blamed for this.
Yes.
Now I understand.
Yeah. Well, the COVID-19, of course, has chosen the people it's going to attack. I mean, when the spiky ball is flying around, it thinks, am I going to go after a good person, or am I going to descend onto one of these nasty policemen? And of course, it may well decide it's going to go for the nasty policeman. It's not your fault. I mean, the COVID makes its own decisions about these matters. You see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And they decided that we should be fined at £200.
Yeah.
Because this has happened since today.
Yes.
We need to have a penalty for.
Yes. So can I take it that you're going to contest it in court and refuse to pay the fine? Is it?
Absolutely.
You are.
I need your help to do that.
Yes, I'll be happy to come to the court with you to support you. And I don't know whether I'll be able to speak because these days even lawyers have difficulty defending people in court properly. And of course most lawyers are solicitors, basically prostitutes anyway, so they're not nice people, but of course I am. So I'll come to court with you and help you to defend it. And I think that's probably all that Smythe and Smythe and Smythe and Smythe and Smythe can say.
Just one thing, Mr. Smythe,
Yeah,
one more thing before you go. I feel reassured, and also I've just had a thought.
Yes.
Did you know most court cases are now being conducted on Zoom as well?
Are they? On Zoom, which is presumably...
Well, unless, I know this is a particularly heinous, serious crime, so maybe they won't be able to do this one on Zoom. Maybe I'll actually have to physically meet these people in a physical...
It's
building.
quite
Can you imagine that?
possible that you will have to, yes, and it will be a surreal experience. But of course, if you keep track of it and you record the entire proceedings, you might be able to turn them into a very humorous play or film, which would be very good. Rather as Mr. Archer did, Jeffrey Archer did some years ago. He actually made a play out of his court case, which was a very, very, very clever thing to do, of course, because he made vast amount of money out of it.
Mr. Smythe, before you go.
Yes.
If humour and comedy has been outlawed by the time the court case happened.
I think human comedy were outlawed a long time ago and enforced by the public because they chose to agree with political correctness. Don't you think, Mr. Smythe? Mr. Hines, rather. I'm Smythe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smythe. If you can let me know, how much I need to settle with you to get this whole thing settled because it's terrifying and
Get it settled.
I realise how alarming and distressing I must have been.
You mean you want to pay me for the 13 minutes we were on the phone? Is that right? 10 minutes. Make a gift to me for the help I've given. I would say that if you were to gift £1,000, that would be reasonable. Very
Of course,
very reasonable.
Gladly, as long as you can get me out of this £200 fine.
Yes.
I'll pay you £1,000, Mr. Smythe. Yeah.
That'd be very kind of you. Thank you, Mr. Hines. That'd be helpful, what I said to you, do you think?
Very helpful. Thank you, Mr.
Smythe and Smythe and Smythe.
I'm indebted to you.
That's wonderful. £1,000. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much indeed.
By the end of it, but it'll be worth it to avoid that £200
Yes,
fine.
exactly. Thank you so much, Mr. Hines. Good to speak to you, and I'll see you in court.
I'll see you soon, Mr. Smythe.
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
You take care, sir. Bye.
Thank you very much.